I think we have most of the people here in the auditorium kind of settled down, so we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you all for making the trek this evening. My name is Kyle Drypulcher. I am one of the college and career counselors at the high school for grades 11 and 12. And this is our annual College Credit Plus College Options Night. Just kind of an idea of how things are going to go. We're going to kind of go through an overview of how the College Credit Plus program works. Did everybody get a salmon colored packet on their way in? You will need that. We will be going through it, okay, and I'll kind of guide you along the way. We'll go through some slides of some other information you need to know. We have some great folks from 3 institutions to speak with us tonight. From Cleveland State University, we have Colin Savankara. From Kent State Jaga campus, we have Bethany Bejo. And from the Cuyahoga Community Western campus, we have Renee Lamp. So we're going to go. I'm going to speak for a little bit here on the overview of the rules. We will also have, Dr. Martin, our Director of Curriculum and Instruction, will give a brief kind of introduction on the main points of College Credit Plus. We'll have these folks talk about their specific programs for their institutions. At that point, we will break. These folks will be upstairs at tables, and you can speak to these reps individually, based really on where you would consider attending for CCP. So without further ado, Dr. Martin.
A colleague years ago in my career gave me some good advice when I do public speaking, and he said, be brief and be seated. I will be brief and I will be seated. So good evening, everyone. My name is David Martin. I'm the Director of Teaching, Learning, and Collaboration with the district. I really only have one reason for being here, and that's I don't want to talk to you next year. So I just want to, I know that sounds a little negative, but if you follow the rules like Mr. Drypulcher is going to lay out, I think you're going to have a good experience. You have a very, very important decision ahead of you, students and parents. CCP has a lot of benefits, has a huge upside, but it's not for everyone. And I can attest to that being in this position for 5 years. There have been a few times where I've had to say no, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. But please remember, this is college. Lots of benefits to it, but this is college. I believe there's a very, very important deadline coming up, Mr. Drypulcher, right? April 1st, you're going to talk about that. Don't miss that deadline. That's a really, really important deadline that you have to meet. So you don't have to talk to me. So many times I have to, when it gets to my desk, I have to say no. You know, I can do that. It's not pleasant. I can't change policies, procedures. I can't change professors' grades. I can't change timelines. So please, please, please pay attention to those. Transcripts are transcripts. I have no control over that. I will say, although I used to aspire, and maybe will still aspire to being a college professor someday, college professors are different than high school teachers. They do a lot of things we can't, and we do some things they can't. We're able to check in a little bit more with your students during the year. So that's very, very important. When things happen, life happens, and sometimes students get behind. It does happen. So again, lots and lots of benefits to CCP. I wish you all the best. You have a very, very important decision ahead of you. And again, I really, really hope that we don't have to speak next year. Best wishes, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Martin. Okay, so tonight we're going to be talking about information related to the choices of the transition to college and College Credit Plus. We'll talk about our specific criteria for the program. We'll talk a little bit about our partnership with in-house courses that we have with Cuyahoga Community College. We will also, because this is a college option tonight, and as Dr. Martin said, College Credit Plus is a choice. It's not necessarily a choice for everyone. Giving you some perspective on the difference between College Credit Plus and the Advanced Placement Program. And also, obviously, as we already mentioned, speaking with college representatives. Okay, so these are kind of the headings I have here. So if everybody wants to take mine's white, but yours is salmon colored. We're going to start and go heading by heading here, okay? So deciding to participate. So before you decide to participate in the program, students and parents should discuss the following. First is future planning. So if you do plan well and you choose to pursue College Credit Plus, this program can assist you in your future education and career decisions. You can get a chance to explore post-secondary education opportunities sooner, and review suggested pathways in terms of college majors or curriculum courses of study that can be found in our options book. If you choose to participate in this program, it's important to remember you still need to meet your high school graduation requirements. So you have to earn your diploma. If you're taking dual enrollment classes, you still have to take classes that fulfill both your high school requirements and the college requirements. So you want to review your requirements, you want to look at your academic standing, and ultimately you want to check with your counselor to make sure that the coursework you're taking is going to make you eligible to cross that stage your senior year with everybody else. From a scheduling standpoint, participating in this program, whether it's full-time or part-time, means you're not following the traditional schedule of a high school student. We have students full-time who never step foot in this building and take all of their classes at a post-secondary institution. We have students who take half of their classes or maybe a few or a couple classes on campus, and I would say by and large the majority of our students are part-time CCP. But we do have students who choose to take classes full-time, and that's an option available to any student, whether it's you want to go full-time or part-time, that's up to you. This is college-level work. So these classes are accelerated, they're academically challenging, it's college-level rigor in a college environment. So you have to make sure, I know this all sounds oftentimes great, that these courses are of no cost to you, out of pocket, and you have the opportunity to take college classes in high school, but they are college classes. Colleges don't differentiate between CCP students and traditional college students. Extracurricular activities, you take part in this program and you're involved in the band or you're involved in athletics or whatever your pursuits might be. You still can do those activities like any student, but you have to keep in mind that your schedule on the college side is not going to be mindful of what your high school schedule is. So being late to a practice, missing a track meet, not being able to be part of a band rehearsal because you have a college course is not an excuse you can use. So you have to really be good at planning your time accordingly. I think I skipped over it, but I'll go back to number 5, transportation. This program is open to students grades 7 through 12. Obviously, many 7th and 8th graders hopefully aren't driving. But you are responsible for providing your own transportation for courses that are offered on campus. So students have to be mindful of the fact that if you have a class at Kent State Jaga or Cleveland State in downtown, or you have a class at Tri-C Western Campus in Parma, your responsibility is to be able to get yourself to and from that class and back to the high school in the time frame that you need to be. So program highlights, again, going down the first page here. So just what are some of the biggest advantages of the program? You have the opportunity to take a wide variety of courses that might not be offered at your home school. I would argue that BBH has an extensive amount of electives and courses. Obviously, from a college catalog, there are oftentimes many more courses that might be available to you or different courses that we don't offer here. You receive early exposure to college-level rigor and college-level work. Many students who have gone through this program have found when they do graduate and they matriculate to, let's say, a 4-year institution or continue on, that the exposure to the college-level work early really paid off for them in the long run. You receive both high school and secondary credit. College courses are worth 1 full high school credit, okay? So this is basically what I would call a 2-for-1. So 1 high school course that you would take here traditionally is a full year. You earn a full credit. You can earn a full credit by taking 3, 4, or 5 credit hours at the college level. Okay, page 2 here at the top, number 4. One of the biggest questions we get, and one of the things to be aware of, courses that have an AP course equivalent in a given subject area receive AP grade weighting. So if you're concerned about basically getting what we would say is a 5.0 weighting, like our advanced placement courses, we have to have an AP equivalent related course at the high school. That is something, if you have a question about a course you want to take, I would say instead of spending all the time up here talking about it, talk with your counselor to see if that's a class we offer, if it's going to receive that 5.0 grade weighting. Okay, program considerations. So with all the advantages, there are some disadvantages, or I would say things to be mindful of. You may have reduced opportunities to participate in high school activities. So we've mentioned that already. District and state eligibility requirements for athletics must be considered and is part of CCP. So if you take a CCP course or your credits are not where they need to be, or the grade you earn in a course affects your GPA negatively, that will affect your athletic eligibility or other eligibility. Sometimes students think, well, it doesn't count because it's not really a high school class. It all counts. Lower failing grades in your college courses will impact your cumulative GPA and class standing. If you get a C or D, or hopefully not an F in a college course, that's part of your academic record. You don't get a chance to take that off or say, I want a mulligan, I just got that F, it's a college course, I don't want it on my high school transcript. If you take the course, if you earn the grade, that grade will be on your transcript, and that grade will be factored into your overall cumulative GPA. You need to plan for increased travel time. Again, we talked a little bit about this to begin with, but if you have to drive to campus, if you have an online class that maybe takes place in the evening or early in the morning, you really need to be able to manage your time. High school students sometimes, I think we can all agree, are still learning how to manage their time in terms of balancing commitments and where to be and to be organized. So that's something that you have to do at 15 or 16 years old. If you're in a college class, you really have to be mature enough to know what you're doing. The scope or content of these college courses may differ from the high school courses and may not align with proficiency exams. So if students are taking an end-of-course test in an English or a geometry, math, or otherwise, you have to be aware that not always do the curriculums exactly match up. So you have to be aware of what your expectations are on the high school end as well. If you fail or withdraw from a course, it may affect your credits needed to graduate from high school. If you're taking a required course through CCP, let's say it's a government course, for example, which is a requirement, and you drop or withdraw from that course, it is your responsibility to figure out how you're going to take that class either again through CCP or through the high school. So those courses do count, and you need to make sure you're earning the courses you need. Okay, next heading, steps to follow. So thus far, if you've listened to what I've had to say and you go, okay, I'm still interested, I think this is a good choice for me. The biggest thing, and Dr. Martin just spoke about that, I would say you want to first go home and talk together as a family. Students talk to your parents, parents talk to your students, talk to your school counselors, talk to these fine folks here from these institutions to make sure you have all of the information. If you plan to move forward, you will need to notify the district by April 1st of 2023 of what's called your intent to participate in the CCP program for the 23-24 school year. And I will have more information on that when we get to the end of the presentation. You have to complete the admissions process for your chosen institution. So if we're on step 3 here, okay, right down to bullet point 3, you have to be accepted as a student under their requirements. So this isn't, and I think oftentimes this is a misunderstanding among students and parents, you have to meet their admissions requirements. You don't just sign up for a class and say it's a CCP class. You have to be someone who provides a transcript. You may have to take a placement test, provide SAT or ACT scores. You're going to have to do all of the same steps that a traditional college student would do. And I'll let these folks talk a little bit about their specific admissions requirements. You want to meet with your school counselor to confirm and verify that you've been accepted to the school that you're choosing to go to and that you understand your next steps for scheduling classes. We have to determine credit eligibility. Counselors will help you with course selection and complete your authorization form or whatever institutional approval form may be needed. Not every institution or college or university follows the exact same process. Some schools have an electronic form that counselors have to sign and fill out. Some schools do not. So it's up to you as a College Credit Plus student to know exactly what's expected of you. That was a mistake. Okay. Going on the back page. Okay, number 6 here, we're on page 3. Once you have your verified schedule from the institution, you need to let your high school counselor know. Okay, so we're talking in the spring, March or April, probably of this spring, so that we can adjust your current schedule for next year accordingly. Right? So we know what you're taking, we know when, and we know if we need to make any adjustments on the high school side of things. Number 7, and this is a big one, which is why we have a lot of bold, capitalized words in all caps and a lot of underlines. Once you have your syllabus from your professors, from your class or classes, you want to verify your required textbooks, and you will check with our media center and fill out a book needs form first. Okay? So you'll contact the media center. This is not in front of you, obviously, a hyperlink. When we share this form out electronically, and we will provide you with this book form, it's underlined as CCP Book Needs, that is a hyperlink to our book needs form that you can fill out electronically. So once you fill out that form, our media center specialist will contact you and tell you, yes, I have that required textbook for this course. Yes, you can come and get it and check it out from the media center. If we have the book in stock, you must use it, and it is the required textbook for your course. Once you complete the intent form that we'll get to at the end of this presentation, you will get a copy of this book needs form. I would suggest bookmarking it for yourself and keeping it, as you will need it for future use. At the end of each semester, we're on part 8 here, all required materials that were purchased, either borrowed from the high school, or if you had to purchase a book through CCP, meaning we did not have that book in stock in our media center, and you followed the protocol of whatever institution you were attending for purchasing their books through their CCP steps, policies, and procedures, you will return that book to the high school media center. All right, now we're under financial FAQs and district policy. Bear with me, folks. I know we're getting there. Give me about 5 to 10 more minutes, and then I'll have these fine people talk about the things you really came here to hear about. So as CCP students, you need to know and understand the rules, especially with the financial responsibility, and failure to comply with district policy can and will result in financial liability for students if you don't follow the rules. So approved credit hours. CCP students are permitted to take up to 30 total college credit hours over the course of 3 semesters of a school year. CCP views semesters as summer, fall, and spring of a given school year is considered a calendar academic year. You are allowed to take up to 30 credit hours per year, 120 total credit hours over your high school career or through the CCP program. High school credits are taken into account when evaluating how many credits. Credits are involved in a sliding scale. So I have, if you all look towards the bottom here, I have a little equation for you, and I'm not a math person, so if you're like me, I would kind of read through it a couple times. The formula for the sliding scale, for many students who, for example, take part of their schedule as CCP or half CCP, you would take the number 30, you would take the high school credits you're taking, you would multiply that number by 3. You then subtract that from 30, and that gives you the maximum number of college credit plus college credit hours you can take in a given academic school year. Now, as counselors, we work very hard to make sure and run these numbers that we're doing this correctly. But what will happen is if students miscalculate this number or they don't understand this formula and you overschedule yourself, you're either going to have to do one of 2 things. You're going to have to drop courses at your high school, you're going to have to drop college courses that you've registered for, or you're going to have to pay for the additional courses that are over your credit amount out of your own pocket. So I would say, even though it can be a little bit annoying and a pain to kind of go through and do the math, you as parents and students have to be constantly mindful of how many credits you're approved to take for a given school year. Course withdrawals or failures at the bottom of the page. So classes that are failed or withdrawn from with an F will receive an F on the high school and the college transcript. That failing grade will be calculated into your high school GPA and your college GPA. So as soon as you earn a grade for a CCP school through an institution, that is the start of your college academic record. So 5 years from now, if you're applying to a college, okay, let's say I start at Cleveland State and I fail a course, and then I apply to Ohio University, they're going to say, have you attended any institutions? We need to see your transcript from any and all colleges. That F from Cleveland State needs to go to OU, whether I'd like it to or not. Also, if you fail the class and do not receive a passing grade, the district will ask or seek reimbursement in the amount of the state funds paid to the college on your behalf for that particular course. The district may withhold grades and credits received from high school courses taken until reimbursement has been made. I would say, and I'm speaking in general terms, an advantage to you as students is College Credit Plus courses are offered at a discounted rate per credit hour than you would as a traditional college student. That said, these classes can range anywhere from $100 to $150 per credit hour. So if a typical class is 3 credit hours, or sometimes maybe 4 or 5 credit hours, like many of Tri-C's math courses are, that students take, if you do the math, if you failed a course, you're talking it could be $300, $400, maybe $500 out of your own pocket. Okay, so not only do you get the failing grade, Dr. Martin's office will send you a bill that says here's the amount of money that you have to repay to the district. We don't like to do that. Nobody does. I know Dr. Martin and I get no joy out of that, but it is something we do deal with each year, and something that folks, if nothing else for students, that's a big motivator that I don't want to put myself in a position where mom and dad have to pay money because of maybe a mistake I made. All right, a couple more minutes. Back page here. Okay. Failure to file the necessary withdrawal paperwork for forms for any course outside of the course add drop window will result in a withdrawal fail grade, and the student will also be held financially responsible for all costs associated with that course. So very much so, just like failing a course outright, every college has an add drop period for when students can add or drop college courses. It's normally within the first couple weeks of a semester. That said, every college has their own timeline. If you try to drop a course after that date, that is when you're going to find yourself in a situation where you're going to end up with a withdrawal fail. So you need to make sure you know exactly what the deadlines are for your institutions. Approved and unapproved purchases. So all students here are expected and required to know what materials are approved for you to buy through the district and which materials are unapproved. If you make unapproved purchases, they will be held financially liable, you as a student will be, and asked to reimburse the district for the cost. Approved items would include the required textbooks, which are pretty standard. Again, if we do not have a book, after you follow the process for our media center and check our book needs form, if we do not have the required textbook, at that point you would contact the university bookstore or your CCP advisor and say, what is the protocol for procuring a College Credit Plus book? Okay? That is at that point. Then when you get that book, again, you would return that book to the high school at the end of the semester. So those are approved materials. Other approved materials are required supplemental learning materials. So if there's a required workbook, required tool for an art course, and these situations don't happen often, but it's required materials, okay? If you need a computer, all students at this point should have a school-issued computer, whether you're a CCP student or not. If there is an issue and you need a computer, you would check that out from the Media Center. Unapproved materials, and Dr. Martin and I have developed this list through a bit of unfortunate trial and error over the years of what we have found has come up. So unapproved materials that students are prohibited from buying will include, but are not limited to, clothing, hooded sweatshirts, non-emblematic accessories, water bottles, canteens, flash drives, imprinted supplies, graduation products, backpacks, water bottles, hats, headgear, et cetera. We have had situations where students have just assumed that they have an account at the bookstore that they can use, that they can just kind of have carte blanche, get whatever I would like to get. If we end up getting a bill for a hooded sweatshirt or something that's not on that approved list, we will bill you, and hopefully in an ideal situation you could return it for a refund before we have to do that. The last thing I will talk about, and this is something that we have seen over the last couple of years, students buying duplicate textbooks. So we'll have students who follow the book process, they go to the college bookstore, the college bookstore takes their CCP student, they get their required textbook, and for some reason decide that they're going to get a duplicate textbook. So I don't know if that's to keep one at home and one at school, or what the situation may be. Please be advised, if you purchase an additional textbook, we will charge you for the cost of that book. So please, a good rule of thumb here is buy what you need, no more, no less. Okay? What's required, no more, no less. So, this is not an exhaustive form, like I've said. The intent to participate form. So as you're listening to me up here, if you decide you want to continue, we will have a QR code here in the next couple minutes at the end of the presentation, and you can access that. That is going to be twofold. You can use that to verify that you attended tonight and that you were here, and then you can continue on to submit that intent form that, again, it's not technically due until April 1st, but we are giving you the opportunity to take care of this, at your convenience now or later electronically, which has cut down on some of the paperwork and other concerns we may have. After April 1st, if you do not submit the intent form and it is past that date, you will need special permission from the superintendent to participate. As I understand it from Dr. Martin and our superintendent, the answer to that question is going to be no. So that is just I'm using the wording from the state rules. That's up to the district. The district is not going to permit students after April 1st. So please just circle on the calendar, give yourself a reminder, but that is the dead stop line for the intent to participate form. So additional resources. So after tonight's program, if you go to the high school website in the school counseling tab in the college career CCP section, you will have more information about not only what we're talking about tonight. We have links to the state laws for CCP. If you're someone looking to cross your T's and dot your I's and make sure you know all of the rights as students and how the program works, please feel free to go there and look at those resources at any time. In-house courses. So through Cuyahoga Community College, we do offer 3 classes here at the high school each year. Those classes are College Composition 1, College Composition 2, which are English courses, and Calculus 3, which is an advanced math course. They are offered in the building, taught by our instructors here at the high school. They're fully transferable to all Ohio State colleges and universities. And students have to have a qualifying ACT or SAT score, placement test, or other information required to complete the process for admission, just as you would for any course that was on campus. A big misnomer about our in-house classes is that they have different rules and different guidelines. You're following the exact same application process, the same placement test process to make sure that you're meeting those requirements. And I'll let these folks talk about what those requirements for their specific institutions are. So, what is the best option? So we've obviously been talking a lot about College Credit Plus. That's why many of you are here, is to get that information about this program. We also have advanced placement or AP courses, and AP courses have been around for a very long time. So maybe that this meeting for you is that you're realizing that College Credit Plus maybe isn't the route for you, and maybe you're more oriented toward advanced placement courses. So just some brief information on the AP for those of you who aren't aware. Advanced placement or AP courses are college-level courses offered in the high school. They reflect on what is taught in the top introductory college courses across the country. At the end of the course, students will take an AP exam. It's a standardized test, and that will measure how they've mastered the college-level coursework and if they will receive college credit. And that score on AP exams is a 3, 4, or 5. Okay? 1 through 5 is the scoring. 3, 4, or 5, by and large, will enable a student to earn college credit through their AP course. Students who do well on AP exams, like we said, can earn that credit or placement into advanced courses when they do matriculate into a college setting. The AP program, a little bit different from CCP, is recognized by all colleges and universities nationally. So where the College Credit Plus is a state-funded program, where the guarantees in those credits are guaranteed through state institutions, AP is nationally recognized. We currently have 29 AP course offerings at the high school, so a lot of different choices for students. Okay, so this is a moment. If there's anybody in here with a flip phone, I will tell you this won't work. But I think most of you probably know how to use a QR code. So if you put your smartphone up to either one of these QR codes, follow the link. This will bring you to the attendance page to say, yes, I was here this evening. Once you complete that, and I'll give you, you do not necessarily have to do this all right now, but it will bring you to that intent to participate form as well. So take a few minutes here, and then I will bring up our college folks. Do you want to start? Okay. Yeah. All right. And then we'll do. I'll tab, alt tab, and that's your stuff. All right. All right. I'll let you. Okay. So while folks are doing that, I'm going to bring up Cleveland State University Representative Colin Savankara, who is, I believe, a senior admissions representative.
Hello. All right, so welcome. My name is Colin Savankara. I'm a senior admissions counselor at Cleveland State University. So today I'll talk a little bit about Cleveland State, admissions process, and also College Credit Plus as well. So Cleveland State, we're a fairly new school. So we established in 1964. We have over 18,000 undergraduate students and over 6,000 international students. If you're looking to enroll at Cleveland State, all it requires a 2.3 GPA. Scholarships are from $2,000 to $8,000 a year as well. So with Cleveland State, we do have a master plan coming within the next 10 years. We're looking to invest $650 million into CSU, just around the area. So we're developing new buildings. We're realigning our colleges as well. So at College Credit Plus, you're looking to save money while you're going to college. So college is one of the biggest investments in your life. It can be fairly expensive. So on average, a four-year degree costs around $80,000 a year. Not a year, sorry about that, for 4 years. But if you're looking to commute to Cleveland State, it's around $13,000 to $14,000 a year. If you want to live on campus, it's around $25,000 to $30,000 a year. With the College Credit Plus classes, that's free tuition. So you could do 30 credits a year. So let's say 1 year is knocked off, I'm saving between $13,000 and $15,000 a year. Next year again, saving more money. Also, the College Credit Plus classes, looking from an admissions standpoint, it looks really good on a transcript. Because once you're accepted into Cleveland State University, we'll let an academic advisor know and see what classes transfer over to give you credit. So potentially you could graduate in 2 years if you do have 60 credits. So this works well with nursing programs, business programs, engineering programs. So it just gets you a quicker step. Also at CSU, we provide recreation centers. So if you're a student, College Credit Plus student, you can enjoy all the amenities we have on campus. So free parking for College Credit Plus students, recreation's free as well. Buffet is really good, food's actually really good there. But also, you're with the best professors around. So at Cleveland State, we're a research school, Tier 2 research school. So what this means is that all of our professors have to do research to maintain their position at CSU. So you're going to have the best of the best professors. Also at Cleveland State, what else can I talk about? 1 second, I'm trying to think. Trying to see what else I could say. But also, with the College Credit Plus classes, it's going to be on your undergraduate transcript, so it's going to be permanent there. So you're going to want to at least get a C plus and above just to get that credit for a class. If you get a D or an F on your transcript, it's not going to, you're going to have to retake the class over again. Also, if you're looking to plan on going to graduate school or pursuing your doctorate degree, it's going to be on there. They're going to look at your undergraduate transcript, Your undergraduate transcript gets you into master's programs gets you into doctoral programs. So you want to maintain at least a C, B, A average. So that's it. Thank you.
Okay, from Kent State Geauga campus, I'm going to bring up Bethany Bejo. And hold your breath, we're going to do some technology switching here. This one here.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Bethany Bejo, Senior Admissions Counselor at Kent State University Geauga and the Twinsburg Academic Center. I'm here representing the Kent State University system tonight. So there are 8 campuses across Northeast Ohio of Kent State, the Twinsburg Academic Center being the closest to you all. So I was chosen to come and spend some time with you. Happy to be here. A couple things that I'd like to touch base on, Kent State specific, but also CCP is a state-funded program. So admissions requirements at all schools are pretty similar, and I'm going to touch base on some of those as well. So we covered some of this info already, but what is college ready? These are things and some benchmarks that we're looking at Kent State University. You know, are you ready for the rigorous coursework expectations? Are you going to be missing out on experiences here at your high school? It was already mentioned, if you're in extracurriculars, you know, your schedules are often, as high school students, are often more difficult to navigate around than even the traditional college student. Do you have a part-time job? Are you able to be a self-starter as a student? In the high school level, a family member or a parent, guardian can call up and speak to a teacher, speak to a school counselor, and ask very specific information about your record. That is not the case at the college level, right? So your academic record, regardless of if you're 14 or 18, becomes yours as the student's as soon as you start college coursework. So there is a really it's the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, sometimes referred to as FERPA. You as the student, you own your record, and you get to decide who you release that information to. Every college has a different form that parents or guardians can fill out, but even with that form, it's not a pass to all of your students' information. We're able to speak in generalities with you about your student's record. So you as the student are in the driver's seat. I know parents and guardians are looking at me like, what are you talking about, Bethany? That sounds terrifying. That doesn't mean that we don't want you involved. You are able to be with your student in advising appointments, making sure that they're selecting classes that are, you know, good fits for them. We want parents and loved ones to be very involved with their student. However, the student is, in the eyes of the university, a college student, the academic record, and the responsibility is theirs. All right, so state eligibility standards. The state of Ohio has changed these standards a little bit in the past 2 years since we've kind of came back from COVID. So now to be admissible for College Credit Plus, as a high school student, you have to have at least a 3.0 cumulative unweighted GPA. So if you have a 3.0 high school GPA, you can be admitted to College Credit Plus. If you don't have a 3.0 high school GPA, we can look at test scores, so SAT, ACT, or placement assessments done at each individual institution. We can also look at, this is very rare because we do recommend at least a 3.0, but if you're a student who has a 2.75, between a 2.75 and between a 3.0, and you have an A or a B in a relevant course, we can admit you to CCP. So that's kind of a case-by-case basis. So if you're a student who has an A or a B in an English course and you want to take a college-level English course, we could potentially admit you to College Credit Plus. We really are looking for that 3.0, though, or a placement test assessment. If you're a middle school student and you don't yet have a high school GPA, that's where you're going to come to campus and take a placement assessment with us. At Kent State University, we use the AccuPlacer reading and writing assessment. So that's what I mean by meeting the state eligibility standards. CCP application, if you are a brand new applicant to CCP at Kent State University, you will fill out our online application. If you're a returning student, you probably got an email letting you know you need to fill out the continuation form. SAT, ACT scores and AccuPlacer are optional if you do meet the GPA requirement. However, if you want to submit them for course placement, you are more than welcome to do that. You'll need to request that your school counselor send us a copy of your official high school transcript after you apply. That's how we'll be able to evaluate if you are eligible to participate in CCP. Kent State University has a CCP permission form. This is different than the letter of intent. So the letter of intent is signed here at your high school. The CCP permission form is a document that is required by Kent State, signed by the student and a guardian. There's also a new state form that is required. All of the institutions have them as a part of our new student orientation process for CCP. It's called the Academic Maturity Form. This is you as the student acknowledging that the course materials will not be changed because you are a CCP student. So a professor is not going to change the content of their course because there's a CCP student in the course. By signing this form, that is agreeing with the state laws as CCP is written. And then as far as application deadlines for Kent State specifically, and I will say again, for Kent State specifically, every school has different app deadlines. So for summer 2023, our application deadline is April 15th, fall 23, June 1st, spring 24 is October 15th. And then required, all of our students do go through a new student orientation process. At the Twinsburg Academic Center and the Geauga campus, we do an online orientation. This information here, the Kent campus is going to have you attend both an online component and an in-person component to orientation. Some resources available to you. You are a college student, so you're assigned an academic advisor. You're available to use all of the academic services provided by the university, tutoring, testing, workshops, support, student accessibility services. If you're a student who has an IEP or a 504, you are eligible to bring those to the college level. And lots of technology resources, obviously, available at Kent State for you as well. Some other opportunities, Kent State University is able to offer students a science experience internship in the summers. This is unique to CCP students. So if you're a student that is interested in the sciences or potentially majoring in a science-based major after high school, this could be a good opportunity for you. You are able to use the Student Rec and Wellness Center there on the Kent campus, as well as participate in student orgs and various activities on campus as well. This is information specific to Geauga and the Twinsburg Academic Center. We are best contacted Geauga admissions at kent.edu. Something else that I will say as far as CCP goes, not only are you looking to check off high school requirements, as was mentioned earlier, but the big thing that we like to talk to students about is transferability versus applicability. Yes, all of your classes are going to transfer to state institutions in the state of Ohio. However, we have seen credit hours transfer out of state and even to private institutions within the state of Ohio. So if you're a student who really knows where they want to go to college after high school, that is on you to contact that particular institution and inquire about the transferability of your College Credit Plus coursework. So we can help you kind of find that information, but it is you on the student to ask them, hey, I took these CCP credit hours at Kent State, will they transfer to insert institution name. So that's something too. Transferability and then applicability, large in part, sometimes a common misconception is, oh, I took a bunch of CCP credit hours, that means I'm only gonna be in college for 2 years. Maybe, right? But if you want to study engineering in college and you take nothing but history courses as a CCP student, you can kind of see how that's not necessarily going to get you to graduation as an undergraduate faster, right? So if you know what you want to major in or kind of have a roundabout idea, that's where that assigned academic advisor comes into play, and they can really help you build some coursework, not only to help check off the requirements for high school graduation, but also maybe start leaning towards what you hope to major in after high school as well. So that's just my admissions counselor spiel and some advice that I've seen of my 4 years of doing CCP. And then here's some contact for the Kent Campus Admissions Office for CCP as well. They can be contacted, ccp@kent.edu. Jonica, Kristen, and Kara are wonderful humans down there at the Kent campus, and we work very closely with them to make sure that our CCP students are the most successful that they can be. And I look forward to speaking with you all upstairs if you have any questions about Kent State.
Now, Renee Lamp from Cuyahoga Community College.
I love all the applause. That's nice. So I'm going to talk about some of these slides. I'm going to zip through because our previous speakers have already made mention of some of the things that I'm also going to talk about. But this slide I just want to show you because we have students who are still doing a lot of online courses, especially our CCP students. They like to take online courses. Since you guys became acclimated with it during COVID, a lot of the students have not really gone back to the on-campus setting yet. We are starting to increase the classes that we offer on campus, but we're still mainly online. And so I want to just point out that we have multiple locations with Cuyahoga Community College, and any of the online classes can be taken out of any of our campuses. So the Brunswick University Center, and then East, which is in Highland Hills, Metro is downtown, West is in Parma, where I work with Melinda Gala, and then West Shore, which is in Westlake. So if you're taking an online class, you're allowed to look at coursework that's coming out of these classes from all of our different campuses so that you can have more options for sections. When you're looking for an online section, sometimes you need to look at other campuses to see what we have. So why would you choose Tri-C? Of course, the convenient locations that we just looked at, the various teaching formats. We have in person for a lot of our classes. If you're going to take a science class, the lecture could be online, but the lab would still be in person. Lab for science classes, that was a very tricky business when we were going through COVID because lab work requires experimentation and all that kind of stuff. So it's better to do it on campus. We have hybrid classes, meaning you're online and you're in person. We have online classes, and we do offer synchronous, which means that you would be online and you're meeting with a live professor. You're gonna meet every week at a scheduled time, just like you would another class that's in person, it's online. Asynchronous means that it's online, no set meeting times. We actually have a high preference for that still with our CCP students at Tri-C, just because the students prefer that self-paced type of class. And so if you think that's something that you would be interested in, then asynchronous is the word you're looking for when you're looking at classes. The participating high schools, I know that BBH is one of our participating high schools, so we offer the classes out of your high school. So again, that's another way to take advantage of CCP. The class time options, we do have students. I have a student right now who's taking a Sunday evening class, and she's because of her athletic schedule, that's just what worked best for the government class that she wanted. But you can take it at any time that works for you, especially if you're taking it online, morning, afternoon, evening, and weekends. You're allowed to look at those classes, even if they're synchronous. You can still take them as long as it fits into your schedule. The student services that are included are any student service that we offer to our other students who are not CCP. So academic counseling, psychiatric counseling, tutoring. Career Center is something that our students like to use, especially if they're trying to look into internships. The Transfer Center is a really good resource for students if they're trying to maybe start at Tri-C and then they know they want to transfer to a four-year institution. We can hook you up with admissions reps from the different institutions to make sure that you can have a easy transition from us to another school after high school. We do offer the RTA UPass to our CCP students. You can earn an Associate of Arts degree. We also have students who can earn Associate of Science degrees if they're willing to do the coursework. And then multiple certificates that we have at Tri-C. And then, of course, you work with an experienced staff. The Student Accessibility Services and Disability Services is going to be similar, just like at Cleveland State and Kent State. These are required, you have a required appointment that you have to set yourself. We're not going to do it for you. We don't know that you might have an IEP or a 504 plan or you need accommodations. So you have to come to us, and this is the office that you would work with, the department that you would work with. Again, you do need to make sure that you have an appointment, and you should do that before the start of the semester. The Family Rights and Privacy Act, FERPA, it's been mentioned. If you're a parent that might want to reach out to your student's instructor, especially if you have questions about the course content or the course material that's going to be taught, then your student is going to need to sign off on the FERPA form to give permission to them, to give permission to the instructor or any dean or anyone in our financial services or accounting they will not release any information about your student unless they've signed off on FERPA. And it does not matter that your student might be a minor. They could be, as young as 12 years old, even younger. So it doesn't matter under this law. We have to abide by it, and so does your student. Mature content, this was mentioned before. So we do not disclose to our professors or our instructors that a student is a CCP student. So they do not modify or alter their curriculum. I have a student right now who I'm trying to find a class to take because the syllabus went over some course material that the parents weren't comfortable with the student seeing because the student is younger. And so I'm trying to switch them into a different class because each instructor or professor will have different curriculum. So just because one instructor is discussing a certain course material that contains, what might be seen as racy or have sexual content in it, a different instructor might not have that in their curriculum. They're going over some different reading materials that might not have that type of subject matter. So please make sure that, one, you're aware there's a permission slip. Ours is embedded into our application, so the parent and student both have to sign, and what you're signing off as is that you understand mature content is a part of some class instruction, and that they're not going to change it just because your student's CCP. And of course, the student can always withdraw with no penalty or fees within the first 14 days. Mr. Dreipolcher mentioned the first couple weeks. It's the first 14 days of a semester or a term. You can withdraw with no penalty or fees. So by then, you've had plenty of time to look over the syllabus and maybe ask the instructor some questions to make sure that you understand what you might see while you're taking the course. And just because you don't want to take the course at that time, maybe you feel like you're too young or you don't want to see that type of course material that term, it doesn't mean that you can't take it later. So if you're a freshman right now, maybe you take it when you're a senior. So getting started as a CCP student, our preferred deadline at Tri-C is April 15th. We really want you to get it all done and buttoned up before you go on summer break. And the reason that is the case is because your handy-dandy high school counselors or middle school counselors that you need to send your authorization form are going to be on summer break and you can't get a hold of them, right? Yes, they will. So as you all know, you should get this done. As you all know, that's the case, and you don't return until August. That means that you should get everything out of the way before you go on summer break. We don't have a hard deadline at Tri-C. We will still try to help you take classes in August. However, if you have not done the intent to participate, as already mentioned, you will have to pay out of pocket yourself. So for those of you who are not sure, you're still kind of like throwing it around, maybe the student is on, the cusp and they're not really ready to pull the trigger, I would still advise you to do the intent to participate form because that is not binding. You can fill it out, and I have a student who just started this semester, which is spring. They filled it out last year this time, their intent to participate form, so they can still use funding even though they decided to wait until January 23 to start classes. So again, I would go ahead and fill it out, and if you think there's a chance, then you have the money behind you. If you don't fill it out, then you would either wait until next year so that you can use the CCP funding offered by the state of Ohio, or you would pay out of pocket. Complete the Tri-C application. Again, the mature content permission slip is embedded in that. You're going to submit qualifying ACT or SAT scores. We want your AP transcripts as well. If you're taking an AP class right now, you should be prepared to send us an official transcript and probably an unofficial transcript once you receive your scores. What else do you need? Oh, the multiple math measures. I wanted to make mention because we offer the calc class here on site. You can use your high school coursework to be placed into Calc 3 if you are kind of thinking you might want to take that class that's offered here at the high school. We can just review. You might not even have to take our math placement test. You can just use your high school coursework as long as you've got an appropriate grade and have an appropriate GPA. And then depending on your GPA and grade level, you may have to take our placement test. So if you are a 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th grader, incoming 10th grader, so next year you would be in 10th grade, then you should be prepared to at least take our English placement test, possibly even our math and English placement test. If you are going to be an 11th grader, I can use your current GPA that would have just been updated based on your first half 10th grade year to try and place you without taking an English placement test. It all depends on your GPA, so we really do have to, every student gets reviewed for eligibility. Once we've reviewed you, if we determine that you're eligible, you're going to receive a decision letter, and it's going to come to your Tri-C email address. It's going to be a whole new email address. Like right now, you probably have a personal email, maybe Gmail, and then you've got your high school email address. Now you're going to have another email address. If you go to multiple institutions, some students will go to Cleveland State and Tri-C at the same time in the same term, then that means you would have 3, possibly 4 email addresses that you're housing. So make sure that you prepare yourself by setting up your email. As soon as you get the email that you've been accepted to the school that you choose, set up the email, because that's how we communicate with students now. Again, there's going to be a mature contact questionnaire. It's all sent to you via the link, and it'll remind you that you need to do it. You're going to meet with your high school guidance counselors or your middle school counselors, and you're going to fill out the authorization to attend form. That's what we do at Tri-C. And that's what tells us how many credits that you're eligible for. They always help us make sure that we know how many you can use at Tri-C so that you're not going over the credits, or at least that you're aware that you might be going over the credits and have to pay. And then you're going to meet with a Tri-C academic counselor. That's an opportunity for you as a student to create an academic plan. You might not know what you want to do right now. You're just taking English 1010 and English 1020 next year, and then maybe you're junior year or sophomore year, whatever year you're trying to transition to, you would take even more, credits or classes. You can determine what maybe you want to look into, even if it's just an Associate of Art degree, and start fulfilling some prerequisites or general education classes that you would need for most 4-year degrees. You're going to register for courses and, of course, attend we have an orientation that we do virtually. We also have it where you can just do it online. So the benefits of attending Tri-C after CCP, we have a lot of students who will stay with us for like maybe 1 or 2 semesters and then they transfer on, or they'll stay with Tri-C in the summer right before they go on to their 4-year institution. And they do that because, 1, they already know the process with us, and 2, it's an easy way to get a credential. So we have a lot of students who might have earned, let's say, 30 or 40 credits at Tri-C as a CCP student, and then they graduate high school and they go on to a 4-year institution. After their first year or second year at the 4-year institution, they'll transfer back all their credits so that they can get the associate degree from us, and that's something you're allowed to do. So then the student can still get a credential from us, which helps your resume, especially depending on what you were studying. So career preparation, we do offer that. Like I mentioned before, a lot of students in CCP like to talk to our Career Center about doing internships. And at that point, if you're attending Tri-C as a non-CCP student, you can join our clubs and organizations. We do offer athletics. We have study abroad. And then we have a lot of creative art programs. So just some outcomes for CCP at Tri-C. We have this new degree. It's an all-online Associate of Arts degree. And so I have a lot of students who do CCP that really like this degree because they're taking those courses anyway to fulfill a lot of requirements for liberal art bachelor degrees. So that's something that is offered. There's more information on our website. You can always reach out to us and I can get you with our program director of the program if that's something that might be of interest. This is our contact information. Again, I'm with Parma, so I'm at the Western Campus, and I also service the Brunswick University Center. That's our email address. We actually don't have someone to answer the phone number that's there, so don't call that phone number. But send an email, and then if you need to call me, we'll set up a time to chat on the phone. But due to high volume, we generally do everything via email, just because 1, we need everything in writing, and 2, we have a lot of students, and so it's just quicker for us to be able to respond. But we will have a call. If you have multiple questions and you feel like you really need to talk about it, first off, make sure you're working hand in hand with your guidance counselor, because they're the people who are really going to help you make sure you're on track for high school, as well as, I should say, they're going to help you stay on track for high school and make sure that you can also fulfill dual requirements, meaning high school and college.
So at this point, I will give everyone here a few minutes if you want to get yourselves upstairs. So, here, at this point, folks, if we want to head out, you can. If you'd like to speak with Colin, Bethany, or Renee individually, they will be up on the first level, just along the hallway by the doors for the exit. I will go back, for those of you who maybe did not get a chance to see the